Hello and welcome to History Time after a long break. A happy new year to everyone. Today we are going to look at the history of a building that turned 100 in December 2022, the headquarters of the Southern Railway. It is a beautiful building that stands on Periyar EVR Road, once known as Poonamali High Road. Constructed between 1915 and 1922, it is really an architectural marvel. Let us see what is the story behind the construction of this building. But before that, we must look at a little bit about the history of the railways in South India. It is often said that the first railway line of India is between Bombay and Thane, laid in 1856. But most people forget that the first railway line of India was in Chennai city, laid in 1836. That was by Sir Arthur Cotton, who was then an engineer in the Madras Army, and he proposed a railway line between Pallavaram and the city so that blocks of granite could be brought from that place to the construction sites within the city. That was the first railway line that was laid, and it had a length of 8 kilometers. Before that, he even had an experimental railway line shown in Chindadripet, and in reality, that should be the first railway line of India. But let's get going with the rest of the story. In 1856, Madras got its proper functioning railway line, and that was laid between Royapuram and Arcot, where the Nawabs lived. The Royapuram station today is the oldest station in India, inaugurated in June 1856. And that was a grand event with the governor, the commander-in-chief, the Nawab of Arcot, everybody being present, and it being reported in the Illustrated London News in London itself. The terminus for the Madras Railway Company, as it was called, was Royapuram. But within 3 years, it was felt that it would be better if there was a station within the city. And that station was Central Station, which would eventually get completed in 1873 with that beautiful tower that stands in the middle. The Madras Railway Company operated every railway line that ran from Chennai city on the east coast going up to Visakhapatnam and then going to the west up to a certain point in Andhra. Thereafter, you had what was called the Southern Maratha Railway Line, which had its headquarters at Dharwad in present-day Karnataka. So the two lines would meet up at a certain point. In 1907, the government of India at that time decided that the two railway lines should be merged. And in 1908, the Madras Railway Company and the Southern Maratha Railway Company joined together and became the Madras and Southern Maratha Railway Company, or the M&SM. From 1st January 1908, this was the railway company that would operate between Central Station and all the way up to Dharwad on the west coast of India. The Madras Railway Company had its headquarters next to the Royapuram station in Royapuram itself. The Southern Maratha Railway Company had its headquarters in Dharwad. But when the two companies merged, that Dharwad Railway Headquarters building was given up and it became an arts college, and it functions that way even now. In Madras city, the new M&SM Railway Company operated between three locations. Central Station was the hub of its operations, and then it had its company headquarters, which was at Royapuram, and then the workshops were at Perambur, which began in 1856. Early in the 1900s, the M&SM decided that it wanted to consolidate and put together one headquarter building, and it applied for permission to the government of Madras. The government gave land just next to the Central Station, the two properties being separated by Wall-Tax Road. This new location was at one time known as John Pereira's Garden, and even today, behind the railway headquarters, you have a street called John Pereira Street. John Pereira, over a period of time, got corrupted and it became Jambura, Finally, it became Jamla. Even today, there are many old people in that area who will refer to that entire area as Jambura Totem or Jamla Totem. John Pereira was a Portuguese merchant in the 17th century who owned a house and a garden over there and then died thereafter. This property belonged to the government, and the government finally made it over to the M&SM Railway Company. The railway company then began construction. In 1915, on February 8th, the governor of Madras, Lord Pentland, laid the foundation stone for the new railway building. It was estimated that the construction would get over within 2 years. The building, with a length of 480 feet and a width of 204 feet, would have 3 floors. And the man in charge of designing it was N. Grayson, who was the architect of the M&SM Railway Company. This was a building with a lot of difference. For the first time, reinforced concrete was going to be used, and steel bars had to be obtained all the way from England for laying the foundation stone. The experts in the foundation stone had to come all the way from Bombay, and this was a company that was known as H.H. Wadia, and they were the contractors who brought a huge workforce, and they came here in 1915 and work began. The Wadia brothers decided that the building would be made of brick, but it would have cladding of Porbandar stone coming all the way from Gujarat. So the Porbandar stone would be shipped out from Gujarat by boat. It would arrive at Mormugao port near Goa, and from there it would be loaded on to the wagons of the M&SM Railway Company and then be brought over here. Over here, the foundation stone itself took several months to be laid. It was a raft of sand, fine river sand, on which several thousand tons of cement concrete was poured on 500 tons of steel rods, and then the foundation work was completed. The substructure was made of granite and the superstructure with brick and Porbandar stone cladding. The most defining feature of the building was the 80-foot diameter dome right in the middle of the structure. And even today when you go in, that is what catches your eye. It is completely lit by natural light with a series of windows on top which allow the sunlight to come into the building and giving it a completely airy and well ventilated feel. The grand staircase goes up to the first floor, and as you climb up, when you look up, you can see the dome in all its beauty. The building has 3 floors, and it had accommodation when inaugurated for 45 officers and 1,500 staff. It was the first building in Chennai to be designed with electric wiring even during the construction stage. And so it planned for lights and fans, but it really did not need either of those because the natural lighting was so good and the sea breeze was so powerful that there was continuous breeze all the time inside the structure. On top of the building, there are 8 domes, 2 in each corner. And do you know what the purpose of those domes are? They are supposed to be the water tanks for the building, and together they store 35,000 gallons of water to be used in the entire structure. Right in the middle of the terrace, you will find 2 towers standing up. And they are a very unique feature, not to be seen in any other building in Chennai city. Where did Grayson get his idea for those 2 towers? At the same time, while this work was going on, we must remember that New Delhi was being constructed. And prior to the construction of New Delhi, the government was moving from Calcutta, which was the old capital, to Delhi, which was the new capital, in 1911. And they needed temporary headquarters or a temporary secretariat. A secretariat building was therefore constructed in the civil lines area of Old Delhi to house the offices while New Delhi would be completed. The design for that was by a man called Montagu Thomas, who was the chief government architect of Madras. Montagu Thomas moved over to Delhi and completed the construction of the what is today known as the old Secretariat building. And it was he who first designed two towers of that kind for Delhi. He died in 1916, and it is very clear that Grayson was so impressed by that design that he decided to copy them when he would construct the railway headquarters in Madras. Owing to the First World War, the work dragged on and on and on, and finally it was only on December 11th, 1922, that Lady Willingdon, the wife of the then governor of Madras, finally declared the building open, and thereafter it became the headquarters of the M&SM. In 1947, following independence, work began on nationalizing all the private railway companies that operated in India. The two railway companies that operated in Madras region or Madras Presidency were the M&SM and the South Indian Railway Company, which was headquartered in Trichy. The two of them were brought together and they became the Southern Railway early in the 1950s. This building then became the headquarters of the Southern Railway, and it has remained the headquarters of that entity till now. Truly, it is a wonder, but it has its share of problems. Continued pollution has ensured that the Porbandar stone, which was once cream in color, has turned grey, and it is very difficult to maintain indeed. And there are continuous demands for more and more offices, more and more officers, and more staff. Lots of modifications have happened inside the building, but even today it remains a beautiful heritage structure that we can be truly proud of. Next time, when you go down the road, just look up and admire the architecture of this building. Bye for now.